Hello, hello, hello. I told you I was going to give you a little bit of leeway. 11:30, but I'm going to get cracking on. Is that okay with everybody, Gina? Yeah? Right, okay. Thank you, everybody, for coming back. I hope you enjoyed your brownies and made sure that you used your time to do a bit of networking and sign the white paper. Now, we have Dylan, Joe, Shauna, Satina and Liana, who will make up our next panel entitled What is a Home? And this is from the Care Experience Advisory Board, Coram Voice, a group which brings together care-experienced young people aged 16 to 25 in England to represent their voices and campaign for the rights of children. The group meets with decision makers to ensure young people's voices are heard and acted upon nationally. Now, in this panel, we will explore what makes a placement a home and how we can listen to what matters most to children in care and care leavers. Please give them a warm welcome.
Hello, we are a National Voice ambassadors from Coram Voice. A National Voice, or ANV, is the National Children in Care Council of England. Our mission is to bring care-experienced people together to find their voice and use it to improve the lives of all children in care and care leavers. We work with others to amplify young people's voices, to create an environment in which young people's views are sought, valued, and acted upon. ANV was established over 2 decades ago by care-experienced young people to make sure children in care and care leavers' voices were heard at a national level. In 2017, a National Voice joined Coram Voice and continues its work through national projects. I'm Joe, and the other ambassadors we have are Shona and Liana. This session will be about the topic of what is a home. But before we begin, we'll be doing a quick icebreaker of a hands up, hands down activity. So I'll read out the whole question first, and then we'll go back to the options. I might choose a person for some of the questions, and if you're sat at the front, you might get picked on. So, first question, and there'll be 5. What's your ultimate home comfort? Your bed, your sofa, a hot drink, a warm bath or shower, or something else? So hands up if your number 1 home comfort is your bed. Okay, a lot of hands. And hands up if your number 1 home comfort is your sofa. A hot drink? That's good. A warm bath or shower? Okay. And something else? Would anyone like to share what that is? I think you guys are a little bit further back, so I might leave it to the next question. We'll do now the temperature in your house. So is it always too cold, always too hot, or you're never in charge of the heating? Hands up if your home is always too cold. That sucks. Hands up if it's always too hot. That's nice. And hands up if you're not in charge of the heating and it's driving you crazy. Next question. If you could only keep one, which one would you choose to stay? Your phone, your kettle, your Wi-Fi, your TV, or something else? Hands up for your phone. Whoa, I thought there would be more. Okay, your kettle? Okay. I'm assuming that's like tea and coffee. Your Wi-Fi? Yeah, I think that's a fair one. And your TV? Okay, or something else? Okay. What does home feel like? Is it safety, belonging, love, chaos, or something else? So hands up if the word home makes you think of safety. I would agree. And belonging? And love. That's great to see. And chaos? Ooh. And something else? Anything else? I'm sure there's lots of things. Last question. Your dream home location. Is it by the sea, in the countryside, in a big city, a quiet village, or maybe like a spaceship? Hands up if your dream home is by the sea. That's a good one. I like that one. That's what I'd choose. In the countryside. That's nice. And a big city. I'm assuming London, sort of vibe. And in a quiet village. Okay. And anyone for the spaceship? For some fun? Bit intimidating. Thank you so much for taking part in the icebreaker. That was a good way to show how different home can be for everyone. Imagine one day where everything in your life changes. Not just the place or the people, but yourself. The only things you have are what you carried, and the home you see isn't actually yours. The people in it are strangers. The first moment alone in your new room, looking back on the journey that led you here, those feelings are different for everyone, whether it's shock, sadness, or relief. Maybe this is where you need to be for a while, or maybe this is where your life really begins. Whether it feels scary or it's like coming up for air, there's a new journey ahead of you and the future becomes different. Some of the insights we'll share today come from the Bright Spots program, which has collected over 30,000 responses from children in care and care leavers through surveys called Your Life, Your Care, and Your Life Beyond Care. These were created by Coram Voice and Professor Julie Selwyn, and most importantly, shaped by children and in care themselves, based on what they said matters and what makes life good. And through that, we've learned this. 4 out of 5 children in care, aged 4 to 18, say they do feel settled where they live. That might seem surprising, but it shows that with the right support, feeling safe is possible, even in the middle of big changes.
When a child or young person first comes into care, it can be such a frightening experience. For me, when I went into my first foster placement, having no connections with my biological family, I was on my own. And having to live with strangers is such a scary thing to do, especially on top of all the trauma that you're left behind while you're going into care. I think some of the most challenging things about that time is the not knowing what will happen or if placements will work out. It's the not knowing where you're going and being moved far away from everything that you've known, and that can be terrifying. And that fear of being moved far away from everything familiar isn't just about the place, it's also about the people. Nationally, less than half of teenagers in care say that the contact they have with their parents or siblings feels right. Many want to see their family more often, but for some, they would prefer to see them less. When young people don't feel listened to in those decisions, it can make it a really difficult time and even more out of their control. It's such a massive change to come to terms with, and depending on why a child has gone into care, there may also be the fear that more people will leave them or that any abuse or neglect might continue to happen.
There are so many doubts when you first enter care. You ask yourself, is this the right thing? What happens now? And how will I cope? You suddenly have a new label in your identity. Do you tell your friends? Who will you talk to? And will they understand? And then there's your mental health. You're processing trauma and stress from before you came into care, feeling scared or triggered by so many things. Some things can make this experience even harder than it needs to be. For one, people in authority might not really listen. Having to repeat yourself, answer the same questions over and over, it makes you lose trust in professionals, and it adds to your lack of trust in adults in general. Also, no one really tells you at first that nobody can make you do anything you don't want to do. Professionals might say, we don't think you need this, or that things aren't so bad, but they don't know as well as you do. Young people deserve to feel like they have a voice and that someone's listening. They deserve some control over their life. It also depends on the situation. If a young person really wants to leave home, every delay in getting them into care makes things worse. If they don't want to leave, the suddenness of being taken away might make things harder. For me, Packing a bag at 16 and having to fight to get into foster care was harder than it had to be. It would have made my journey into care so much better if social workers had helped me rather than trying to send me back home, and if it had all happened much sooner. If someone's trying to get into care, there's obviously something seriously wrong that shouldn't be swept under the rug. And if someone's silent, that doesn't necessarily mean nothing's wrong either. Essentially, assumptions make things harder. Having some stability at that time is so important. Your whole world is completely changing, and anything that can stay the same should. Support networks, friends, familiar faces, and your school. They help build a stronger foundation for positive change. You can lean on people, whether you talk about what you're going through or not. Just having friends around matters, and school gives you a lot of familiarity and routine with teachers you know and you trust, which you really need at a time like this.
I got to stay at the same school when I moved into care, and I was so thankful for that. It was my only constant and the only place that I really felt safe. I was moved around quite a lot in 1 year, and this was during my exams, so it was extra stressful. I just wanted to settle and feel safe. Getting to see my friends and teachers every day helped me a lot, even though I had to take 4 trains a day to get to and from school. It was still worth it for the consistency.
To me, being close to home means feeling safe, freedom, and having some control over your life, and getting to do the things you enjoy. It means being close to your school and your community, where your friends, familiar people, and places are.
I wouldn't particularly say that I had a good experience while I was in care, but it did lead me to meet people who've become my family, and I finally had the chance to feel safe. Going into care stopped the abuse that I was experiencing, and I was lucky to get out of that situation because sadly not every child can.
I did have some positive experiences of coming into care. I remember meeting some very welcoming foster carers, and later on, when I had to move from one place to another, I was able to stay with the same foster carers, which made it a lot easier. What made those experiences better were the little things those carers did to help me feel at home. They respected my space, always knocking and never just walking into my room. 94% of children in care say they like their bedroom, but those living in residential care or somewhere else are far more likely to say they don't. Feeling safe in your space matters, and it starts with small things like privacy, food you like, and people listening. My foster carers took me to the shop right away to buy food I liked. They offered me home-cooked meals early on. They asked me about my school, and they showed interest in my life. They even offered me things based on my interests, like a spare bike they had. They supported me during meetings with social workers and police, encouraging me to say what I was feeling, and they made sure the professionals listened to me. They really worked on gaining my trust. They even made sure I had what I needed for school, getting a laptop to keep up with studies, and all of these things made me feel safe and cared for.
I didn't have any consistent adults while I was in care, but I really appreciated the love that I was given, and it gave me hope that one day I would experience that kind of stability for myself. I'm just so thankful for my first social worker who believed me. She saved me from a horrible situation. And when I turned 19, I met someone who became my lifelong link, and I get to call them my family now. My local authorities' participation team also helped me, and they got me involved in trying to make things a little bit better for younger ones in care, and they believed in me. I still keep in contact with my first foster family, and their daughter is like a little sister to me, which I've always wanted. I met 2 of my closest friends while I was in care, and we were really able to empathise with each other, but also just kind of have a laugh about everything to get us through. I wasn't believed by my own family, but I met people who did believe me and showed me what love was supposed to feel like.
We've talked about the journey into care, but what does home become after all of that? Here's what we want you to know. Children in care have grown up too fast to survive, and now things start to slow down for them. The feeling of displacement, both emotionally and physically, is heavy, and their emotions will eventually catch up to them. They may feel upset, angry, have nightmares. They've been very vulnerable and in fear for a long time, so they'll be forced to process a lot of things. They've also been let down by those who were meant to protect them, family, social workers, and they may have serious trust issues. But the people around them can make a difference. Foster carers. You can be the person on their side, someone who vouches for them and shows them what safe looks like, what normal looks like, when they've never seen it before. You get to witness those important changes, and you can be a really positive part of them. To social workers, the best thing you can do is listen. Young people know their stories better than anyone. Focus on what they tell you they need, not necessarily what you want to happen. Don't force family contact if it doesn't feel safe. And if they're scared of something they know will happen, don't say it won't, and take it seriously. To school staff and teachers, you can be another advocate. You can stand up for them, keep unsafe people away and check in with them, offer support with schoolwork, or even just let them know that you care. The empathy you show can make school one of the places they feel safe. And police. One of the best things you can do is believe them. Think about whose story you're trusting the most, the adults or the child's. Remember that silence isn't always safety. Just because a young person doesn't say something doesn't necessarily mean nothing's wrong. If they haven't reassured you, don't assume it's fine. Trust can be built, but only if they feel seen and taken seriously. You might be one of the first people involved, and the safety of that child could depend on what you do next.
I wish that adults could understand that unless you've been in a similar situation, they can't truly know how it is for a child in care. All they can do is show empathy and compassion. When children go into the care system, they'll be frightened, and a lot of the time their world will have been flipped upside down. Even if a child has come in to care from an abusive or unsafe situation, they may still miss home, because that might have been all that they've ever known. I really believe that anyone working with young people in care should just genuinely show care for them and remind them that they're not on their own, that they're just as loved and just as important as any other child, and not just in words, but also in the actions that show that you mean it.
As well as experiences of coming into care, there's also the subject of leaving care and going into independence. As you get closer to turning 18, it can start to feel like that's when all your support ends. Like from that point on, you'll just be on your own. And even if you're ready to move forward, that worry will sit with you. There's a lot about living independently that people don't really prepare you for. Things like applying for universal credit or other support. The forms are full of unfamiliar words, and it's easy to get confused. I really think professionals should sit down with young people and fill them out together, make sure nothing gets missed, and they get what they're entitled to. After leaving care, well-being drops sharply. Most care leavers reported that they felt unsafe, unhappy, and unsettled in their homes compared to those still in care. That's why those small things, control, safety, stability, matter so much. Having your own key, a Ring doorbell, something that makes your space feel safe and like it's yours. I was able to access staying put for a month before university. That's where you can stay with your living with your foster carers after turning 18. Just having that offer from them, knowing that they were okay with me staying, made it feel more like a home. I think every young person should have the chance to stay if that's what they want. So if you're supporting someone who's leaving care, reassure them, help them figure things out step by step, show them that they don't have to do it all alone. That kind of support can make all the difference. Before we end, we would like to hand over to Liana, who's going to share some of her experiences with you. For those of you that don't know, a national voice will also be speaking tomorrow, and the theme will be around what makes life good. Liana's only able to join us today and has written a speech around the art of showing up, exploring goals and ambitions linking to care experience. Please welcome Liana.
Hello, everyone. There's always been a part of me that wanted to do something meaningful, something bigger than the life I was handed. But for a long time, I had no idea what that was supposed to look like. I felt lost. I watched other people chase their dream, tick their boxes, follow the path laid out for them, and I kept asking myself, where do I fit in? What's my purpose? Maybe you have asked yourself that question too. Maybe you have come from a background where survival mattered more than dreams. Maybe you have spent years trying to be what others wanted you to be, just to feel seen or accepted. I want to tell you something that took me years to learn. You're not behind, you're not broken, you're not too late. Life doesn't come with a map, especially not for people like us, people who have had to figure out things the hard way. I didn't grow up with endless support or a clear direction. I came from a foster home where no one really asked what I wanted. I spent a lot of time trying to fit into other people's expectations, hoping that maybe I could just blend in enough, no one would notice how lost I felt. But I'm here now, not because I had it all figured out, but because I kept choosing to rise when no one else was watching. We hear things like, never give up all the time, but let's be real. Sometimes giving up feels easier. Sometimes that weight of it, the stress, the responsibility, the fear feels too much. But here's the truth no one tells you. Strength doesn't always look like confidence or loud motivation. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's getting out of bed when your mind tells you not to. Sometimes it's going to work, even when your heart is breaking. Sometimes it's showing up, even your hands are shaking, which is right now. I wanted to be a doctor once. I even dreamt of going to Cambridge. I had the ambition, I had the drive. But I didn't have the resources, I didn't have the safety net. And eventually, I had to let that dream go. Not because I was incapable, but because I had to take care of my mental health. I had to work, I had to survive. At 18, I left care, and I was suddenly on my own, navigating adulthood without a manual. And I'll be honest, that broke me in ways I didn't know I could be broken. There were moments I didn't think I would get through. There were nights I didn't sleep. There were days I didn't eat. There were times I truly believed I wasn't going to make it. But healing my mental health became one of my biggest achievements. Getting up each day and telling myself, this isn't the end, that became my fight. And I want to honor that. I want you to honor that to yourself. Because the reality is, sometimes surviving is succeeding. But here's the beautiful thing. Life has this strange, powerful way of reshaping our dream if we let it. I didn't become a doctor. I didn't go to Cambridge. But I found a path in maths that I love. I found purpose in places I didn't expect. I found peace, not in perfection, but in persistence. I built a life piece by piece, not by ticking someone else's boxes, but showing up again and again. And that's what I want for you. Don't chase someone else's idea of success. Don't waste your time trying to fit into when you were born to stand out. Whether you're stacking shelves, wiping tables, working shift, raising kids, or studying for an exam no one believes you will pass, do it with pride. Every experience is building you. Every setback is shaping you. You don't need permission to dream big. You just need to start where you are, what you have, and trust that it is enough. Because it is enough. You are enough. And if no one has ever told you this lately, let me be the one to say it. You're allowed to take your time. You're allowed to fall apart and rebuild. You're allowed to grow at your own pace. Even if your voice trembles, speak your truth. Even if your path changes, keep walking. You're not lost, you're becoming. Let that sink in, you're becoming. becoming strong, becoming soft, becoming whole, and becoming you. And before I finish, I want to take a moment to speak to the social workers in the room, the ones who do far more than what their job description ever warned them about. Let's be honest, your job description probably says something like coordinate care plans, advocate for vulnerable young people. But in reality, you're part-time therapist, emergency crisis manager, taxi driver, housing expert, mental health support workers, family mediators, and sometimes human lie detectors. And let's not even talk about how many times you have had to chase missing files, missing people, or missing coffee breaks. In all seriousness, your job is one of the most underappreciated, over-demanded roles out there. You walk into chaos, not because you have to, but you choose to. You deal with broken system, tight budget, and heavy emotion, and you still find a way to care. You just don't fill in paperwork. You fill in the gaps where families fall apart. You hold spaces where trauma begins, and you protect the spark of hope where kids like me cling on to. You might always not get a thank you, but let me say it now. For me, and for every young person who didn't have the words at the time, thank you. And to anyone out there who feels like they're still finding their way, I want to leave you with this. You don't need to know exactly where you are going to take the next step. You don't need to have all the answers to make a start. Start messy, start scared, start tired, start unsure, just start. Because you're not your past, you're not your pain, you're not the worst thing that ever happened to you. You're a possibility, you're a proof, you're a purpose, and your story and your voice matters more than you know. Thank you for listening.
Home isn't just about the place you live, it's about the people and community around you. For the past 3 years, A&V have led the Amplify event, bringing care-experienced children and young people together from across the country. We would like to share the video now.
Today has been about listening to the voices of children and young people and amplifying their voices, providing the opportunity for them to talk about the things that are important to them.
We are a National Voice ambassadors. A National Voice is the National Children in Care Council for children in care and care leavers who are passionate about how the care system works and how it affects those within it.
So we meet once a month with the aim of creating a campaign in order to push for change on a national and local scale.
A&V have been involved over the years in lots of pieces of work, more recently the Care Review, It's Our Care, meeting and consulting with Ofsted, working to make positive change and loads more. The aim of today is to be able to meet other care experienced people, be able to share experiences, learn from one another and celebrate all of the wonderful work that we're all doing.
Hi everyone, can people please go to their seats?
We are now going to be splitting you into two groups. One group will consist of the younger people in the room, the other half will be the older ones.
They will be consulting with Ofsted, so Heather and Matthew, to consult on supported accommodations.
So what do people think Ofsted does? Anybody want to shout out what Ofsted does? Inspect? Sorry? Go to schools and do inspections?
They go to other children's homes and things and make sure all the kids and everybody enjoy where they live.
That's right.
Who likes drawing? Questioning. Calling friends and other family members. Is that a card?
Nice to meet you.
My name's Kid. I'm a rapper from Sheffield.
I sing and play the guitar as well as the bass and piano. Yeah, got some talent on the table.
I'm a caregiver. I'm Alfie, I'm a caregiver and I'm also a
just little comments like that where everything works. So I'm assuming you mean like equipment, shout. Yeah, absolutely.
That's what they'd be saying.
What's the standard of
Yeah. Is it nice though, or could it be better in any way?
Has anyone put mini management on there? Management mini is like a really important.
That's a really good point.
Like settling in places.
I put mental healthness awareness. I said tailored for all young people, take into consideration that everyone's the same.
That sounds as if it's come from the heart.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah.
It really has. It really has.
That's your experience.
Yeah.
I think the most thing I'm proud of is I come from a very lonely background, not having much support network when I first moved, and then I found YVic. It's helped me feel much better in myself, positive mental health, and making friendships and actually communicating with the world again.
Who's going to ask you if you have two loving relationships when you leave care?
Exactly.
Nobody will.
Yes, how can we keep young people safe whilst also making them feel cared for and looked after?
This year we applied for some funding to have this thing called Independence Day. So we had like a Coram voice stall, we had a DIY stall, we had like a cooking stall, like to help those who may be not up to date with their life skills, an opportunity to win some prizes while also learning.
In Bradford, we have 4 young person-led corporate parenting panels a year rather than all being led by professionals.
From my experience from being both in foster and now a care leaver, I have found the transition quite challenging. One of the biggest challenges I'm facing is the services for family times.
What does mental health and well-being mean? Well, to me, it's the health of someone's mind, which can have a massive impact on someone's day-to-day actions and abilities.
I've enjoyed mostly being with other people in care and sharing our experiences with each other and kind of putting our ideas together to make one massive idea of what, for example, family is and what family should do to help us. We've kind of brought our experience forward and we've kind of made that into an idea of that family should be supportive and positive.
Impacts on our mental health. Not getting the files like when you sit in them care home meetings that the care homes have written about you.
We feel there is a lack of urgency regarding our mental health and well-being.
We thought that professionals not being sufficiently trained with help and support to deal with our needs is quite important.
We feel there is a lack of urgency regarding our mental health and well-being.
We feel professionals are not sufficiently trained to help support and deal with our needs, which we'll work on via our action plan.
We feel that our experiences aren't accurately captured by professionals. Lots of personal information gets recorded in systems where we don't have control over what is written and who sees what we share.
You have to wait too long for mental health support. 3 years on a waiting list just to get one person over the phone to tell you you'll be fine, get through it.
I'm most proud of making the film we did. The film is about people in care. So it's got a bunch of things that happen in care, and it's just to show that in care it's not all about the downers. There are good things that happen in care. I mean, you get to go on holidays, you meet new friends, you get to do a load of experiences. Like for me, YVic has changed everything for me since I went into care.
Good afternoon everyone, this is the opportunity to celebrate the amazing work you've been doing in children and care councils and also some of the amazing talent that we all have. I'm going to introduce to you Kid Blue, who's going to do a rap for us.
So this song is basically about doing better and succeeding in what you want to succeed in. And not caring what anybody else thinks about you, because everyone in this room is absolutely amazing. All this good stuff came out of misery. All this rapping got me thinking what they did to me. I just talk my life stories, sit and meditate. I always talk to the bros on how to medicate. I'm never coming from that gutter, coming back with faith. Try to swing back round like them better days.
Always award winners. So if we can have another drum roll, please. I'm gonna get used to this now. And the winners are YVRC Whole Young Voices. It is really great that it is shared from the young person's perspective. The fact the video has been recognised by influential people demonstrates how good and emotive it is.
I'm really proud of all of you who've come here today and shared your knowledge and your expertise and your ideas of how to improve the care system for other people. And what would a care system look like if actually we started from the point of view of what's important for children and young people, where do they start from, and what can we as professionals learn from their care experience and their expertise?
From my experience, they saved lives, and it genuinely did. It changed my life. It showed me that somebody wanted to hear what I had to say, and that I was important, and that my experiences mattered, and I hadn't gone through all of this rubbish stuff for no reason, and it helped me find my path, and I wouldn't be where I am now without it.
As if these wonderful people left the stage. Not on my watch. Take a bow, take a bow. Weren't they absolutely phenomenal? Absolutely incredible. Thank you. They went off, and I was like, there's somebody I looked at over there, and I was like, no, not on my watch. You don't get a northern in the building. She goes and gets them. You were absolutely phenomenal, and you are what today is all about. Right, okay. So next we've got our breakout sessions. And after the breakout sessions, 1 o'clock will be lunchtime as well. So use that time to grab a bite to eat, mingle, sign the white paper, of course, and look at the exhibitions. Now, the breakout rooms, the holistic and well-being session is here in this hall now. The early intervention is in the livery hall, which is downstairs, just past the check-in, and the leaving care and society breakout sessions are in the crypt downstairs. So enjoy your breakout sessions. We'll then have lunch at 1 o'clock, and then if we can reconvene at 2. And lastly, another round of applause.